welcome to episode 202 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I am your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Please subscribe if you are new. Welcome to my knitting podcast. Do you realize that this has been a weekly podcast since 2021? Oh my gosh, we've been here a long time. Before that, I would do it periodically, but it didn't become an every single week podcast until 2021. So thank you for those of you who have been with me since the beginning, and welcome to those of you who are new. What did you think of my little claymation intro? So Charlotte likes to play on the iPad, and she'll get on my photo apps. I have a bunch of different photo editing apps, and a lot of them have these cool AI features. So she got on there and she just messed with a whole bunch of pictures, and she created these amazing claymation, weird, silly, adorable little videos. So be looking for more of those because I love them so much. I was like, these have got to be a part of the podcast on a regular basis because they are so much fun. Did anybody else stay up late last night to watch the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight? The bags under my eyes, which I tried hard to cover, but I do think I look a little tired. That's as a result of that. It was such a mediocre fight, and I'm kind of amazed that they talked me, a hardcore early to bed person, into staying up until 1 a.m. to watch this fight. I don't know, crazy. It's been a crazy weekend. Lots of fun, not a lot of sleep. But you might be sitting there thinking, Devin, elephant in the room, what are you wearing? Oh my gosh, what? Is that a Timbo vest? Yes, this is a Timbo vest. So let me do my little twirl so you can see. Check it. And I will tell you how this even happened. How did this even happen? You know that I've been wanting the Rachel vest for a while, and I knit half of one, but then I think I just got lazy because I didn't use a pattern and I was gonna have to do math, and I still will do the math. I really like it. It's in Black Forest cake and it's gonna be beautiful. But then I saw the Timbo vest. Okay, so here's the timeline of how Devin ended up wearing this vest that I didn't even tell you I was knitting because I started it after last week's podcast. Anyway, episode 200, I feature it on Knitting Fantasies. And I think, oh my gosh, I love this vest. It is so great. I would love to make that. Then it goes out of my brain. Episode 201, a lovely podcast watcher named Colette said she knit one, or she was in the process of knitting one, and she had used the gauge switcheroo worksheet to help her get the pattern right for her gauge. So then it was put back in my brain again. So even last week, it was not on my radar to knit this vest. And I think it was Saturday night, literally a week ago today, that I was like, I'm gonna knit this thing. And I thought, well, what colors do I wanna make? I love Roxette. This is Roxette and Bosque in the Knitty McPurly colors. And I love Roxette, and it's so seasonal. I love orange in the fall, but I look terrible in orange. It's just not good for me. It just makes me look all washed out and gross. But Bosque is my color. So I thought, what if I put these two together and I put the color that looks better on me closer to my face? So I thought this is actually kind of a good tip. If you have a color that you love but isn't really your color, just put it a little further away from your face, because I think it totally works, don't you think? I got my wide leg pants on, high-waisted. This is the look right now, I guess. But I love it. I love it. It's got this cuteness right here. It's just so cute. This is the most fun thing I have knit in a really long time. I loved knitting it. Last weekend on Sunday, we went over to my sister-in-law's house, and I brought it with me, and I just sat there knitting. And I don't normally do that because they're non-knitters and I don't want them to feel like they're not important to me, but I was like, I have to knit this. I just have to. I was possessed by knitting this vest, and I love it. I could totally make another one. I think I need a whole closet full of them because I knitted in a week. Honestly, it was I think I got to the sleeve divide because you start the second color right at the sleeve divide. And I think I was done with the Bosque Sunday night, because Sunday, I love to take Sunday off. It is like such a needed day off. And I love just sitting around and knitting, and it is so great. I can't always do it, but I try to do it as much as I can. So last Sunday, I got like half of this thing knit. And then I did all the rock set over the course of the week, just, when I was homeschooling or waiting for a carpool, or it's that last 10 minutes of the day and you sit down and you can get 10 minutes of knitting in. So it's been so fun. Now I knit the third size. I forget what the sizes are, but I feel like the largest size for this pattern is only like, I just said I don't remember, but I think it's 43.5 inches around, and I knit the third size. Now, this is a broken rib pattern. It is so easy and fun. Oh my gosh, I love it. And it could have a lot of horizontal stretch. So I would say if you are larger than the largest size, you could just knit it a little bit longer, and then when you block it out this way a little bit, and you could get some more space. I knit mine a little short. I did not do the full length here, but it really grew after blocking. This is the Berlin Bulky, which is a merino superwash, so it did definitely grow. I thought it would be higher, but I also thought that when I block it, I'm gonna be pulling it this way. So this was the length that I wanted. I wanted it to come to the top of my high-rise jeans. The pattern is written for more. This only took me 1.5 skeins of each color. The pattern called for more, but again, I made it a little bit shorter. So you could do it in 3 colors. If you had 3 colors of bulky, you could do, instead of 2 colors, you could do 3, and it would take you 1 skein of each if you were knitting this size and making my modifications. Of course, it would vary based on what size you did. I also made the neck a little bit shorter. I think I knit 3 inches and it calls for 5. It calls for a little bit of a higher neck, but I don't want stuff all up in my neck. Can you believe this? Like, I'm shocked. As I'm talking about it, I'm planning my next one. Wouldn't it be amazing in Thistle and Fathom, the navy blue with that beautiful mid-range purple? I need kits. There need to be kits because this is such a fun pattern. And it was cheap too. It was like a $3 pattern. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I feel like it was really cheap. Might have been $5. I feel like it was $3. Anyway, it's so fast. It says in the description, like, this could be a total gift knit because it is such a quick knit. If my girls like them, I might have to knit them one. It's so much fun. I'm gonna try and get kits up. I don't know. I will try my best to get those up as quick as I can because you need to knit this pattern. It is so much fun. I'll link it down below. So fun. Okay, progress and shop news. Whew, that was a lot of stuff. It's been a crazy morning. I'm not even knitting out of I'm not even knitting my coffee this morning out of a cool mug. I'm knitting it out of this random mug. You know what I mean. The November color of the month is almost completely gone. I apologize for that because we're only halfway through the month. Normally, in a normal month, I would dye more November if we're only halfway through and you wanted more. But that's how I ended up with August still. Like, we still have August because I dyed too much. Supply, demand. Anyway, there's a little bit more of November. I can't dye more because there are big things coming. We've got December's color of the month coming, which I know, like, how are we here? I don't know. This is where we are. I have not new collections, but fun, exciting Black Friday only specials that I will show you next week when the Black Friday sale starts on Saturday, the 23rd, after the podcast. I've got new collections and also the League of Extraordinary Sock Knitters. So let me just slow down. All that to say that there are only a few sock sets of November left. If you want them, go get them because that's it. They're going to be gone after that. The Black Friday sale starts next Saturday, the 23rd. noonish around the podcast time, but it will span for an entire week. It'll start on the 23rd and it'll end on Monday, I think December 1st. It's the Monday after Thanksgiving, because we just want to have time. We want our discount to apply for as long as we need it to. There will be limited amounts of the Black Friday special products, but if you want sweater quantities of yarn, this is the time to get them, and you can always pre-order them. You just scroll down and click the pre-order option of the yarn that you want. And sometimes I even have that yarn in stock and I just haven't gotten to updating the website yet. So there will be good sales, there will be good products, and it all starts next week. Friday, November 29th at noon Eastern time, the League of Extraordinary Sock Knitters goes up. Set an alarm on your phone if you want in. Go and sign up for it then, and that will ship mid-December so that you can start in January. We've talked about this a lot. You should order it separately because it ships separately. The Sock Club is its own thing. Yeah, and you need to pay for shipping each time it ships. So anyway, okay, also, we're getting super excited about the retreat. It is 75 days away. You guys, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. If you are someone who has a small knitting related business, or you know someone who does and might like to contribute something to our swag bag, please have them get in touch with me, or please get in touch with me. Send me an email, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. I would love to include something to represent your business, some little gift to give to the retreat goers. They love that. We all love that. It's so much fun. So email me if you have any interest in contributing there. Retreat attendees, I've heard from, I think probably most of you by now, but check your email if you haven't yet. I sent out a survey about the classes that are going to be offered. Oh my gosh, the classes are so good. Thank you to my amazing teachers. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited about it. Going to be great. Advent calendars went out last Tuesday. I heard from my Singapore Advent calendar friend, hi Carol, and I know she got her Advent calendar already. I'm not sure if the other one made it to Norway. I even forget where it went. But anyway, I know a lot of you have gotten them. I got the cutest email from one Advent calendar recipient who said, Devin, I got my Advent calendar. I opened every single box and I love it so much. I died. I was like, that is hilarious. It's your Advent calendar, folks. You can do whatever you want with it. I'll thank you in advance not to post any of those pictures online, which I know none of you would. Everyone knows not to do that. But for those of you who are waiting and want a present every day, yay. For those of you who were like, open, and just yay. Oh gosh, I was filled with joy. So funny. Okay. So in terms of my personal progress, it was all this fest. It's, oh my gosh, I love it. Can't wait. I feel like I'm going to cast on another one today. I have to go see if I have Berlin Bulky in Fathom and Thistle, because that would be so amazing. Oh my gosh. All right, moving right along to the topic of the week. I talked to you guys a lot about how I don't really follow directions very much. With the Timbo vest, I really did follow directions, mostly because they were very simple directions. There wasn't anything weird. Everything was simple. It was a long tail cast on. I think I did my own increases. There's increasing here, and it was like an M1R, and I did a backwards loop, which is fine. You can do whatever you want. If you're consistent, it'll look intentional. If you're all over the place, it'll look like, gosh, what did you do there? I don't know. But as long as you choose an increase or a decrease and you are consistent with it, you're probably going to get something that looks intentional. So I had put the pattern away. As soon as I started knitting in the round, I had put the pattern away and I was done with the pattern. So I get to the length that I want and I start to do a regular chain bind off. And I was doing it just knit all the way around. And it flipped out and it just looked bad. And I looked at hers and I was like, hers looks good and I don't like the way this looks. So I pulled it back, and then I tried doing it in the same broken rib pattern and I didn't like that either. So I was like, okay, let me get the pattern back out and look at what bind off this designer actually did. Pardon my voice, I think it's just from not sleeping last night. Anyway, she used Elizabeth Zimmerman's stretchy sewn bind off. And I thought, it looks good enough, I'm gonna go ahead and learn it. And I am so glad I did, because this was stupid easy. I mean, so easy. So if you're not familiar with this bind off, I just did a little tiny video here where I'm gonna demonstrate it to you, not because I expect you to remember it, although it's simple enough that you could remember it, but just to show you that it is super, super simple. I feel like I'm recommended in the pattern, oh, use this fancy, twisty, random bind off or cast on that you've never heard on before, that's super hard to do and it doesn't really make sense. We don't know why we're doing it, but we're just doing it. And a lot of that, I'm just like, I don't want to. I just don't feel like it. And so this was the opposite of that. It was such an amazing experience to do the pattern, to do the bind off, and it looks so good in the end. When I first did it, let's see, pardon my flash there, but it just looks so good. I'll show you in the video anyway, so that you can see in the video how good it looks. At first, it was a little wonky, but it blocked right out. It blocks out. Anyway, here's that video. So I totally did knit a swatch for that sweater, the Timbo vest, but I couldn't find it. So I just real quick went ahead and knit this tiny little swatch here, and I just want to show you this super cool bind off. Now this is a sewn bind off, so you're going to want to cut your yarn so that you have enough yarn to do the whole bind off. I usually just eyeball it, because worst case scenario is later you have to add more yarn and no one will die if that has to happen. So take our end here and we will put it on our needle. Now, this is so simple and easy, and you're just gonna love it. Okay, so I'm going to go into 2 stitches purlwise, okay? And now, you know, with the case of the vest, there's a lot of pulling and pulling because you have a long piece of yarn. And then you just go through that first stitch knitwise and drop it off and pull it through. Now, I wasn't quite sure how much to tighten it, but a good bit of tightness is good, because this is a stretchy bind off and you don't have to worry like you do with a chain bind off so much about it being too tight. Now, you know, that's on my limited experience. Definitely try your own thing. And you just repeat that, girlfriend. In purlwise 2, out knitwise 1, and drop it off. In purlwise 2, out knitwise 1, drop it off, and check it. It just looks so good, doesn't it? All right, the comment section. My first comment is from Squirrel Girl 322, who is Shelly. Hi, Shelly, who sent me the beautiful shawl from last week. And here's what she said. Thank you for the lovely words, Devin. The pattern is Wild Swan by Linda Maygard and Nim Teasdale. You featured it in a Knitting Fantasies segment sometime last year. I think I remember that because it was amazing. The yarn is Yarn Bee Rainbow Rhapsody, and it is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. I love the feel of it too. I think that's from Hobby Lobby, isn't it? Is it one of those ones where it comes like in a circle and you can see the colors where it kind of changes? I have looked at those. I think they're awesome. She says, it is a pleasure to use my time to make things and a blessing to share them with others who appreciate them. I wanted to attend the retreat this year, but God knows better and had other plans. I just started a new job 2 days ago. So I won't have vacation time for a few months. Next time I am there, sending extra hugs for you and your family. Oh, thank you so much, Shelly, for sharing that pattern and yarn with us. This yarn is amazing. I really like it a lot. Oh, by the way, this is I got my sparkle dog on there. In case you wonder, like, where do you stick your sparkle dogs? On your iPad or your laptop. Pink Pineapple Knits says, that shawl is gorgeous. I really want to learn to knit with beads. There is actually going to be a class at the retreat where you're going to be able to learn how to knit with beads if you are coming. So there's that. She says, I'm definitely enjoying my pumpkin chai balm, but my favorite is last autumn's scent, red flannel. I really want a tin or 3 of it. I remember red flannel. It is amazing. I think I still have one around here somewhere. That was an amazing scent. Heather Holmes says, I'm not crying, you're crying. Shelly, you're amazing. I hope you and your daughter are well and don't give that job a second thought. Adela Horakova says, love this episode. The story was so moving and the shawl a perfection. Devin, you are a paragon of a knitted gift recipient. You should make this video a separate tutorial on how to become a totally knit-worthy person. I think that every knitter who knits for others deserves to have someone in their life who appreciates knitted gifts equally as well as you. If they do not, they should just send all handmade gifts your way. I think knitters do receive handmade gifts well, don't we? Because we know how much time went into it. I mean, a fully lace shawl with beads, I can't even. There are no words. The Creative Knitrovert says, great episode. Would you consider doing a kit for your Benedicta pattern? That is a great idea. I love that idea. Maybe, for sure. Yes, we have to do that. Anne-Marie said, I used your gauge switcheroo and it looks like it's working on my Marseille cardigan by Coco Armor Knitwear. I'm using a locally dyed merino that is slightly thinner than the recommended yarn. Thank you, and what a gorgeous shawl. Awesome. The gauge switcheroo worksheet is super helpful. I actually did swatch for this vest and I was close enough. Colette's comment from last week was mainly about the row gauge, and I didn't even check the row gauge. I just knitted it as long as I wanted. Lady Mist Stitches says, I wish I would have found your podcast and gotten your advent earlier. It sounds amazing. That is so sad, Lady Mist. Knitting friends don't let knitting friends miss the Knitty McPurly podcast. So if you have friends who haven't seen this podcast, you need to tell them. Otherwise, they are missing out. Melissa says, if anyone needs me, I will be camped out by the mailbox waiting for my advent. And then how do I resist the urge to start opening early? Well, Melissa, I hope you got your advent and you can do what you want. I fully give you permission to do whatever you want. There's beauty in opening it all up and seeing it all together, but it's kind of nice to get a present every day. Whenever I've had knitting advents in the past, I always do follow the rules because I love getting a present every day and getting to see, like, where is it going? And you have that time of wondering, like, where are we headed with this? Colleen says, Devin, your balm saved my feet this week while I was traveling for work. I had to wear dress shoes and my feet just aren't used to that anymore. I put a little on my ankles and toes where my shoes were rubbing and it prevented me from getting blisters. Before bed, I applied the balm more generously to my red, angry heels. The next day, they were almost back to normal and ready to withstand a little more torture. I am so glad I had it with me. Who knew? The balm saves lives. That's what I heard. That's totally what we all heard. The balm saves lives. The balm is great. I use it all the time. Like, we've entered dry season here in Virginia and probably where you are. And I am just constantly balming, like every single day. All right, moving right along to knitting fantasies. Today's picks are geared toward advent calendars. Many of you got a Knitty McPurly calendar. Many of you got calendars from other dyers. Some lucky folks got more than one advent this year, and God bless you. You are just the luckiest folks in the world. But what are we gonna make with our advent calendars? Mine does come with a free pattern download, and I do have some shawls that would be great for any advent calendar. But if that's not your cup of tea and you wanna do something different, there are a ton of options. I found this website by Susanna Winter, where she has an extremely comprehensive list of potential advent calendar projects. She has everything from small scrappy projects to blankets, shawls, cowls, accessories, sweaters, pants, tons of things that would be great for advent calendars. And they're different. You know, many of them are for 24, 20 gram minis plus a full skein. There's lots of different kinds of advent calendars and lots of different kinds of patterns. Today, I just chose 2 of my favorites, but I linked Susanna's website down below if you want to go check that out because she had a ton of suggestions on there. It was hard to just pick 2. My first pick is called the Confectionery Cardigan by Margaret. Margaret doesn't give us a last name. She's just Margaret, like Madonna and Prince, I guess. So I thought this was really, really pretty, would be great for a lot of 20 gram minis. You do also need a main color, so you would need to have like a full skein also to make this. I presume that it's fingering weight. I didn't even really look, but most advent calendars are fingering weight yarn, so I just thought this was really cute. Looks super wearable and like you could just throw it on over anything. Love the colors. I thought it was really, really pretty. So this one, it calls for 24 20 gram minis and a main color. Probably one skein if I had to guess. My second pick is the Triangulum blanket. I love a blanket where you're knitting something small and portable and simple, and then you sew them together in the end. And I don't for sure know that that's how this is knit. It might be that you're picking up stitches to knit the next piece. But I thought a blanket like this would be so great. If you're a blanket person, you really kind of have to be a hardcore knitter who has enough time and willingness to knit something like this. But I think it's great. It would be great for an advent. It would be great for scraps. And there's a ton of blankets like this. This is not the only one. But anyway, these are linked below along with Susanna's article. What are you going to knit with your advent? I would love to hear about it. All right, so here's what happened. You guys, thank you so much for sending me knitting stories. Ever since that one week where I didn't have one and everyone panicked and was like, I have to send in my story. I have a couple right now, which is great, but please send them to me. I always need them because like I said, there are 52 of these podcasts every year, more or less. And so I need a lot of knitting stories. If you have one, email it to me, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. I would love to share it on the podcast. This is from a lovely podcast watcher named Rachel. Hi, Rachel. She says, hi, Devin. I'm praying you are well. As I am sitting here in the wee hours, I realized I can tell you a story about 1x1 twisted ribbing. It has been years since I could label myself a monogamous knitter. I won't tell you the atrocious number of projects I currently have going, but it's definitely in the double digits. Me too, Rachel. I mean, just feel no guilt about that. Just no guilt at all. Rachel says, at the moment, I'm working on a slightly modified Kyler shawl by Isabel Kramer, my 4th for the year. The shawl is an asymmetrical triangle of lace and stocking stitch broken up by 2 sections of 1x1 ribbing toward the end. It's probably my favorite shawl to knit. I love Isabel Kramer. One of the modifications I make is to do the ribbing in a true twisted rib in that I am knitting and purling through the back loop on both sides. So that is hardcore twist. That's like a total twist. You don't have to do twisted rib like that if you don't want to, in case you didn't know. I do this replacement because my regular 1x1 ribbing tends to look sloppy. I want the ribbing to be just as neat on the wrong side. I'm in the home stretch of the second ribbing section, and as you can imagine, it's a little slow going with well over 200 stitches on my needles. So why are we talking about true 1x1 twisted ribbing? Well, I counted, and it seems that I have 5 cardigans going that all have a 1x1 twisted rib modification. The most daunting of these is my hem modification to Hohi Locatelli's Quiet Stars cardigan. Right now, there are 409 stitches on my needle, and I double the amount of ribbing length called for in the pattern because it reduces the tendency of the hem to flip up. If you do have a little tiny hem, it does tend to flip up. You really have to aggressively block it the other way. Rachel says, add to that 2 long line cardigans, also by Hohi, which have a very wide section of 1x1 ribbing for the fronts before the fabric shifts to stocking stitch for the outside of the fronts and back. I, of course, do these in a true twisted rib because it looks neater. In addition, I have 2 Franken sweaters going. We've heard from Rachel before. Do you remember the Franken sweater? Which both have a 1x1 twisted rib collar and button bands. These ribbing sections are about half the width of those in the long line cardigan, so they don't take quite as long to work. As I am not a monogamous knitter, thankfully I have a couple of smaller projects that don't have any 1x1 ribbing, so I can switch to one of those when my wrist needs a break. That is a lot of twisting. I mean, it's just twist on twist. Rachel says, I suppose the lesson here is to make sure you have just one project going that doesn't involve what could be deemed a tedious modification just because you're anal about the way your ribbing looks. So knitters, keep calm and knit on. Many blessings, Rachel. Amen to that. I feel like when you pick up a knitting project, it has such a feel, and it's a combination of the needles and the yarn weight and the stitch pattern and the final garment that it can feel good to pick up something you haven't worked on in a while just because of all those things. And then it feels good to do something totally different, like something that's pure, easy, bulky on 10.5 needles. That is amazing. So I guess I'm probably gonna go cast on another vest. I don't know. Wouldn't it be amazing if I showed up next week wearing that? That won't happen. That never happens. Don't hold your breath. I won't hold mine either. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, knitters, and I will see you here back again next Saturday. Bye.